What single piece of paper has the final say over every law, every government official, even the president? I mean, that's a huge deal, right? The answer to that question really gets to the very heart of how the Philippines is supposed to work. And that document, of course, is the Constitution. The best way to wrap your head around it is to think of it exactly like this. It's the nation's master blueprint, like the plans for a massive skyscraper. It lays out the whole structure, all the rules for how things connect, and what the building is for in the first place. That's the Constitution for the country. All right, so let's unfold this blueprint together. First things first, what is the Constitution really? What's its whole point? Okay, so here's the official definition. At its absolute core, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. That means nothing is above it. And it really has three main jobs. First, it sets up the government. Second, it draws a line in the sand, defining what the government can and, crucially, cannot do. And third, and this is probably the most important part for you and me, it guarantees our fundamental rights as citizens. Now, the specific Constitution we're talking about today is the 1987 Constitution. And here's a really important detail. After it was all drafted and debated, it wasn't just forced on everyone. Nope, it was put to a national vote, a plebiscite, where the people themselves got the final say. And on February 2nd, 1987, it officially became the law of the land. So you can think of this blueprint as having four main jobs. First, it's the foundation. It literally builds the government from the ground up. Second, it's a limitation, kind of like a fence that says, hey, government, you can't go past this point. Third, it's a shield that protects your individual rights. And finally, it's an embodiment, a reflection of what the Filipino people stand for, what we all aspire to be. And here's the bottom line, the most important thing to remember. If any law gets passed, or the government does anything that goes against what's in this blueprint, it's just not valid, it's void. In any showdown, the Constitution always wins, period. Okay, so how does the blueprint actually, build the government? Well, let's look at the main support beams of the whole structure. We're talking about the three great branches of government. The Constitution sets up three branches, and the key here is that they're all equal. You've got the legislative branch, that's Congress. Their job is to make the laws. Then you have the executive branch, headed by the president, and they carry out the laws. And finally, you have the judiciary, the court system, and they evaluate the laws, acting like the ultimate referee to make sure everyone's playing by the rules. All right, now we get to my favorite part of the blueprint, because this section is all about you. These are the built-in safety features, the safeguards, designed to protect every single one of us. Tucked inside the Constitution is something incredibly powerful called the Bill of Rights. And let me be clear, this isn't a list of suggestions. It's a rock-solid guarantee. It's what ensures your freedom of speech, your freedom of religion, your right to be treated fairly by the law, that's due process, and so many other freedoms that are just essential for a free society. Okay, let's get a little technical for a second and zoom in on the blueprint specifications. Just like any formal document, constitutions have different classifications. And it's pretty cool to see exactly where the Philippine Constitution fits in. So let's break this down. First, it's a written constitution. That's pretty straightforward. It just means everything is in one single official document. Second, it's considered rigid. Now that means they made it really hard to change on purpose. The upside is stability, but the downside is that it can be slow to adapt to new challenges. And finally, it's an enacted constitution. All that means is that it was intentionally planned out, written, and then voted on and approved by the people. So if you were to actually pick up the Constitution and flip through it, you'd basically see three main parts. It kicks off with the preamble. That's this beautiful, inspiring opening statement about the ideals and dreams of the Filipino people. Then you get into the meat of it, the articles. This is the main body, spelling out everything about the government, our rights, all of it. And at the end, you'll find the transitory provisions, which were basically the instruction manual for switching over to this new system back in '87. So how many of those articles does it take to lay out the blueprint for an entire country? You might be surprised. It's just 18. That's it. But packed into those 18 articles is everything, from defining the country's borders to that all-important Bill of Rights to the specific job descriptions for every government official. It's all in there. So there you have it. The Constitution is the nation's ultimate blueprint. It's detailed, it's powerful, and it's designed to protect us. But that leaves us with one last really big question.
At the end of the day, a blueprint is just a plan on paper, right? It can't build itself. So who is actually responsible for taking that plan and building the nation it describes?